Welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is CSS full tutorial series for absolute beginners. In today's episode, we are going to learn how to set height and width of elements. Always not necessary that you will have to set it if you are building responsive, but having said that, there are places in design where you might want to fix the height and width of a certain element to certain pixels. Today we will learn how to do that. Let's get started. This is part 13 of the series. If you have missed out on the previous episodes, I'll request you to go through it. I'm covering everything from scratch to advanced, and we will also do some live projects in order to give you confidence. If you have missed out on the last three parts, especially margin, padding, and box model, make sure that you go through it. It's very important from a design and layout perspective. Today we are learning about CSS height and width. We can set height and width properties for any element using the height and width property. We can also specify the max width, or we can also specify max height value, right? I'll show you in hands-on. Let's get started. So I'll open my index.html. Let's put a section and say height and width example. And in this I'm going to use an image, and we have an image in my local that I have here, and we can close it. So in HTML you can directly set the height and width right here along as the attribute height and width. You can set it here directly. In CSS the same thing we can do by assigning a class or using this particular parent class and targeting the image. So what we will do in the CSS, we will use this class and we'll write dot, and we are saying inside this particular class you have an image, and set its height to say 100 pixel and width to 100 pixel. This is how we can specify height and width of any element in the web page. Now this is our HTML. Let's open it in Finder and open it in a browser. You can open it in any browser. So you can see the width and height is set to 100 by 100. If I remove that, if I remove the height, it becomes huge because that image is too big. But we can set the required height and width accordingly the way we want. Say you want it by 200 pixel, that you can do, and it would look like this, right? So you can specify the height and width of any, not only image but also of a div or a section or any thing, right? Div example, this is for height and width example. Okay, so what I've done, I've just put a simple div. It can be a paragraph, break, a link list, a button, form, anything, any HTML element you can specify the height and width. Same way with div example, we can set the height and width. Don't worry about the units just yet, about pixels that I've written. I'll cover that in a separate topic where we'll talk about. Now this is the height and width example. Now you can put a border to just to see the outcome. So you can see here the height and width is set. Now you can increase the width and make it 500, and you can see that it is increasing, right? So you can set height and width to any element in the page. There is also an option where you can say minimum width, say minimum width is 100 pixel, and you can also say minimum height should be 20 pixel. That means minimum means it will take minimum value and whatever content overflows, right? That's what it means. Now I'm going to remove the height and width. So you can see it's taking the minimum height is 20 pixel and minimum width is 100, but it will take maximum because there is no upper limit. So to set the upper limit, you can use the max height and set max height is 300 pixel, max width is 300 pixel. So now it is only taking 300 pixel as the max width, and height again we don't have that much content, so its height is fine, right? So what are the attributes you have learned? one is height. These are the properties that we can use. Okay, so we can use height, width, minimum height, maximum height, and maximum width. These are all different CSS properties that you can use to set the height and width of a element. In real time, when you're doing responsive designs, there would be layouts will be done in percentages, but inner elements can still be restricted using minimum height or minimum width or maximum width, etc., depending upon the design layout. But as a learning, today you are learning that these are the 6 different variations that are there, which are available for height, width, min height, max height, and max width. I hope this topic is clear. Let's keep learning because you have a long way. We still have another 15 lessons to complete, and that's when you can start designing the professional pages. But keep up that learning, keep up that continuity in learning, and you will soon master CSS. In the next episode, we will learn about outline in CSS. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. Let's join in the next one to learn outline in CSS.